And joining us now is one of the two directors of this film, Cortland Bragg. And Cortland, great to talk with you. It sounds like this documentary is almost 2 decades in the making, dating back to an interview with Reggie in 2004, just before he passed away.
Yes, this and also it's one of those things that it's been a long time in the making, and even just working on a project, nearly 2 years. But we felt here at NFL Films and at ESPN that it was the right time to tell this story. So super excited for everyone to get a chance to see it tonight.
I know the documentary focuses on both Reggie White's incredible talent on the football field. I mean, a 13-time All-Pro, a Hall of Famer, but also his deep faith. Will viewers see, equal parts dedicated to both?
Yes, this film is for the hardcore football fan, someone who watched Reggie back when he was playing, but also just fans that watch football today, just seeing how amazing of a football player he was, and arguably one of the greatest NFL defensive players ever played a game. But also, viewers will be able to see an examination of Reggie's faith, good, bad, and indifferent. Things that he realized towards the end of his life and the search of truth that he had from his religious beliefs prior to his passing. So you'll get a mixture of both for sure.
Well, as for the football side of things, as we know, Reggie was all world in Philadelphia and then shocked fans everywhere when he came to Green Bay in 1993. For those that aren't familiar with that time frame, can you explain why that was such a landmark deal?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was born in 1992, so growing up, I didn't realize there's things that I've learned as a filmmaker, as I was, part of telling this story. But that deal from him going from Philly to Green Bay, it was landmark, like you said, but was it was something that the NFL never saw. Like Reggie White is the reason why we see the major deals that you see with free agency in the NFL now. He was the first to ever do it, so it's just very unique that with Reggie kind of putting his name on a lawsuit to sue the NFL to allow players to have that freedom, but just kind of getting a glimpse of the start of free agency and how Reggie kind of he was the he was the prom king and everyone wanted to be his date. It was cool to see and kind of hear the stories of all the teams that are recruiting him and how Green Bay was able to just kind of keep it simple, and they won that date with Reggie, and the rest is history of him being able to make that impact with the Packers organization. So it's a very cool thing that for me as a storyteller and someone who was born in 1992 to be able to learn and experience and tell that story.
Yeah, well, it turned out to be a Super Bowl deal for sure. As we know, Reggie was very outspoken about his Christian faith. Sometimes, as you mentioned, received some criticism. How was that incorporated in the documentary?
It's a major part, especially towards when Reggie hung up his cleats, and as he started to, try to realize, do an examination of his tightly held religious beliefs. So, toward viewers will be able to kind of get a peek behind the curtain of things that were never revealed. A lot of things that no one's ever known about Reggie and his journey with his Christian faith, but also his religious um, his religious faith as well.
Yeah, it sounds like he was, just really starting to study, Hebrew. And can you talk about his faith journey that was evolving right up to his death and what viewers will learn tonight?
Yeah, viewers will learn about Reggie's examination of finding his own truth. There's a lot of things that he kind of wanted to just go deeper in. And you mentioned, one of the things is just wanting to learn the original text and how God spoke to, those in the Bible. And he went deep. He learned Hebrew. He took a lot of trips to Israel just to kind of learn about the Holy Land and places that Jesus went, where he was baptized. So Reggie went full throttle in learning more about religion, learning more about the Bible, and learning about his own truth.
You mentioned you were a year old, when Reggie came to Green Bay, just a kid, I guess, when he hung up his cleats. Through this whole process over the last couple of years, what stands out the most to you about Reggie White, the person, and what you've learned about him?
One thing I learned is that Reggie White was such a ferocious and dominant player, and to me, he is the greatest defensive player to ever play the game. You look at his statistics, 21 sacks in 12 games.
Yeah.
Him his um, just his impact on the NFL, and the hump move, just kind of hasn't still been recreated. Just how great of a defensive player he was, and how much, and but also on the flip side, who he was as a human being. He was an awesome person who did many great things and impacted so many people. And whether he was, he was funny. He was charismatic. He was a light when he walked into the room. People loved Reggie. He was a lovable person. But he also was a bad man on that football field. He was really good. So, for me, my generation, I looked at Javon Curse or Aaron Donald, but it's just like, yeah, those are great players, but there was a Reggie White, and he was one of the best.
One of a kind. Well, Cortland, I know there's a lot of Packer fans anxious to see the Minister of Defense premiering tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Thanks for taking the time to visit with us today.
Thank you for having me.